President Trump is purporting to have fired a member of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve. Her name is Lisa Cook. She's been a Fed governor since 2022. She's the first black woman to serve on the Fed board in its 111-year history. And in that entire 111-year history, no member of the Fed's board has ever been fired by any president. And that's not because presidents haven't wanted to do it. It's because a president is not legally allowed to fire members of the Fed board just because he feels like it. The Federal Reserve Board is an independent body charged with setting monetary policy for the United States. It was created to be independent precisely so presidents could not monkey around with stuff like interest rates. Trump has been threatening for months to fire the head of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, because Trump publicly insists simultaneously that even though the American economy is totally awesome and the hottest it's ever been, somehow also Jerome Powell is responsible for how terrible the economy is, or something. It's been a little hard to follow. In recent days, Trump has turned his ire toward Powell's colleague, Lisa Cook, claiming that his administration has uncovered some kind of evidence that she committed mortgage fraud. Ms. Cook has not been charged with any wrongdoing. She has certainly not been convicted of anything. But tonight, in a letter to Lisa Cook that he posted online, Trump says he's firing her because of the unproven fraud accusations his administration has produced against her. We have no evidence that Trump's accusations are true. But even if President Trump, harbors doubts about her rectitude or whatever, it's not at all clear that he has the legal authority to fire her on that basis. Like I said, no president has ever fired a member of the Fed board before Trump has announced that he intends to do or is proclaiming himself to have done so tonight.
Hello guys, welcome back to my social commentary. I hope we all are doing good and you are watching this video. And if this is your first time of coming across our video, do well to give it a thumbs up and tell us what you think about the video at the comment section. Like we always say, we are not criticizing, neither are we supporting. All we are doing is publicizing. We are trying to bring what is happening around the world, what is happening in our country, to limelight, to people around the earth, so that they will be educated and be informed about recent happenings. Okay, today being Monday, our President Donald Trump has made a bold move and announced online that he has fired a member of the Federal Reserve Board. This is a department that is not within his power to control or decide what is happening in the board. This is a total different department that is in charge for the monetary rate and regulations, so that the president won't go about joking about its regulations and law concerning money. And President Donald Trump just announced online that he has fired her. But reportedly, she said this is an unlawful order, that she isn't going anywhere. The name of the Federal Reserve Board member that President Donald Trump fired is Lisa Cook. And Lisa Cook is said to be the first black woman to work in the Federal Reserve Board. So if this is your first time of coming across our video, do well to give it a thumbs up and tell us what you think about the video in the comment section.
President Trump is purporting to have fired a member of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve. Her name is Lisa Cook. She's been a Fed governor since 2022. She's the first black woman to serve on the Fed board in its 111-year history. And in that entire 111-year history, no member of the Fed's board has ever been fired by any president. And that's not because presidents haven't wanted to do it. It's because a president is not legally allowed to fire members of the Fed board just because he feels like it. The Federal Reserve Board is an independent body charged with setting monetary policy for the United States. It was created to be independent precisely so presidents could not monkey around with stuff like interest rates. Trump has been threatening for months to fire the head of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, because Trump publicly insists simultaneously that even though the American economy is totally awesome and the hottest it's ever been, somehow also Jerome Powell is responsible for how terrible the economy is, or something. It's been a little hard to follow. In recent days, Trump has turned his ire toward Powell's colleague, Lisa Cook, claiming that his administration has uncovered some kind of evidence that she committed mortgage fraud. Ms. Cook has not been charged with any wrongdoing. She has certainly not been convicted of anything. But tonight, in a letter to Lisa Cook that he posted online, Trump says he's firing her because of the unproven fraud accusations his administration has produced against her. We have no evidence that Trump's accusations are true. But even if President Trump, harbors doubts about her rectitude or whatever, it's not at all clear that he has the legal authority to fire her on that basis. Like I said, no president has ever fired a member of the Fed board before Trump has announced that he intends to do or is proclaiming himself to have done so tonight.
So y'all president trying to run this political world as his apprentice show. The Apprentice, y'all remember when he say you fired, you fired, you fired? Of course, he's firing people everywhere, right? So now, the Federal Reserve, right, in the 112 year that the Federal Reserve has been in existence, your leader is trying to remove Lisa Cook from office. And she's a black female, trying to remove her from office. He said that if she don't resign, he's going to fire her. But of course, if he try to fire her, it's going to end up at the Supreme Court. He said that she made false statements on a mortgage, right? That she made false statements on a mortgage. So is this like getting the black people out of certain office? Do you think this is prejudice? What do you all think? Do you think this is being discriminatory? So for the first time in the 112-year history of the Federal Reserve, a president trying to remove someone from the federal board said that she made some false statements on the mortgage contract. I mean, like, what is it? I mean, what else is he going to do next? I mean, why is he trying to make everybody's life miserable? Everybody's life miserable. But certain people voted him into office because they didn't want a black female president. But, he's already messing with the museum, the Black Museum. He's already trying to erase history of people that made footsteps in this country. So what do you all think? Do you think it's right for him to try to remove a Federal Reserve Board member? Is it because she's black? Is it because she's female? Say she made some false mortgage statements. But she said she's not going to resign. And he said that if she don't resign, he's going to fire her. Of course, this is going to end up at the Supreme Court. What do y'all think? Lisa Cook, part of the Federal Reserve Board.
Donald Trump fired the federal governor. Her name is Lisa Cook, and the question is, can he actually fire her? Because realistically speaking, they serve 14-year terms. And the question kind of has an answer that could be twisted in a way. Because technically speaking, if there is cause, then yes, the president of the United States could fire the federal governor. But the cause that he is using here is very vague. You see, he claims that she somehow put 2 residents down back in 2021. And that right there is fraud. And so, yeah, he has cause. Trump is trying to say here that she committed mortgage fraud because on certain paperwork, she declared 2 properties as her primary residence. But because Donald Trump says she's fired, does that mean she is fired? Not necessarily, no. You see, the protocol in removing someone requires for-cause conduct happening while in office and during due process. Trump's move is honestly considered widely legally untested and possibly unconstitutional, and so she doesn't need to step down, though if he wants to take it further, we get in front of the Supreme Court, and I'm sure they're going to agree that there is no real legal thing here that allows him to remove her because this cause is not really a just cause. One thing you have to understand is that the Supreme Court has reinforced many of times that the president does not have the sweeping authority to fire Fed officials at will. So more than likely, if this does get to the Supreme Court, it would be a failure for Trump, and then the federal governor can stay. But I'll be sure to keep you updated.
Change in the Trump administration, going back to maybe FDR, is definitely going back to JFK with his brother, is he is intimately involved with the Department of Justice. In his first term, when he wanted to call Preet Bharara, the U.S. Attorney in New York, to tell him, I'm letting you go, Preet wouldn't even take his call because there's protocol. The president's not supposed to call a U.S. attorney. So Trump just said there is no rule. That's just a policy. He's not breaking any law, but he has decided whether it's Chris Christie, whether it's John Bolton, whether it's the governor. He is going to make the decisions alongside the Attorney General of the United States of America. And he's the president, he's elected. And look, the evidence has to be there that in fact she did commit some sort of fraud, because I agree, if it's not there, I think the Supreme Court has ruled in her favor that he does not have the power to remove her.
He is targeting his political image.
Yes.
That is what we see. And the fact that we're sitting here pretending like that is not happening is so dangerous. Number one, Chris Christie was the head of his inaugural committee in 2016. And this bromance did not end until January 6th, as if he wasn't just as horrible on January 5th and decades before that. Same with John Bolton. He is targeting him because he did not like a book that he published in 2020. And so now he is going after him. And Lisa Cook, unfortunately, is the latest casualty.
And the legal flaw here is that statute where Congress has said you can only fire based on cause. What's the legal definition of cause? It's not a tweet by a Trump partisan. Can you imagine if a tweet could be the basis for breaking the law? All you need to do is ask, you want to get rid of somebody, tweet. Cause has to be proof that the law has been broken or gross misconduct on the job. What do these baseless allegations even have to do with her job? So what you see is, as Ali notes, another red line that has been breached and broken in this push towards authoritarianism. But it's one that hits Americans in the pocketbook, because when you weaken the Fed, what's the reason that they had that first Bank of the United States, the second Bank of the United States, that Supreme Court opinion, this statute? Because when you weaken the independence of the Fed, you weaken the American economy. That makes everything more expensive, more uncertain for Americans.
Weakens the dollar.
It weakens the dollar, and it harms us all.
Night update. Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook says that she is not going anywhere. That's her message tonight to Donald Trump after Trump posted that he was firing her earlier. Trump said he was firing her for cause after trumping up criminal accusations against her, no pun intended. He had his henchman and appointee named Bill Pulte file a criminal referral against her, and then used that criminal referral to argue that it gave him the power to terminate her from her position. Lisa Cook's attorney, Abby Lowell, shared a statement from her which read, "President Trump purported to fire me for cause when no cause exists under the law, and he has no authority to do so. I will not resign. I will continue to carry out my duties to help the American economy, as I have been doing since 2022. The Fed has long been an independent institution free of political influence. Trump trying to fire her caused the already weak dollar to crash. This will surely result in a major legal battle, likely to end up in the Supreme Court, and could continue to disrupt the financial markets. We'll keep following this story, so spread the word and listen to the Midas Touch podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify for more. If you've got a new episode out.
I have determined that there is sufficient cause to remove you from your position. A lot of people are saying this is more political because Trump wants rates down. And number two, that he doesn't like seeing strong African-American women in power. This may set off a cascade of negative economic events. Trump recently also fired the Bureau of Labor Statistics and replaced them with the January 6er. So we could be going in for a rough ride, folks. The Fed was set up to be a completely independent from the presidency. So the president cannot influence interest rates, because you don't want to be making economic decisions on political reasons. So what do you guys think? Was Trump justified for firing Lisa Cook, the first black African-American federal governor? And this is, by the way, the first time in the history of this country a president has ever fired a federal official on the Fed governorship. So very, 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 very unique situation. I think it's going to cause a lot of crisis of confidence in the stock market. We'll see what happens.
Yo guys, we thank you very much for watching this video, and we will appreciate your ideas. So do well to tell us what you think about this video in the comment section. And if this is your first time of seeing our video, do well to give it a thumbs up so that you can see more of our video pop up your screen. You're welcome.